What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. So today I have a guest here. If you guys did not see on the Jessica and REECE show, we adopted a rescue puppy and I've been keeping her pretty close. So she's gonna be my filming partner probably, but in today's video I sit down with JoJo. She is a TikTok sensation. You might recognize her from a previous video that I did where I reacted to prison TikToks, but you also might recognize her from TikTok. We talk about addiction, we talk about all kinds of things, so I really hope you guys enjoyed this sit down. So please go subscribe to her YouTube channel. I will leave that link down below, and I will also leave her TikTok link down below. Were you trying to lay down? I will leave everywhere that you can find JoJo linked down below. Isn't she so sweet? And if you guys want to see our rescue puppy story, I will leave that on the card up here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Hey JoJo, how's it going, girl?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. Thank you for coming on the channel. So I have to tell everyone how we met first. I stole your TikTok video and put it on my YouTube channel.
And I was like, yes, my favorite YouTuber noticed me.
Oh, I love your TikToks because you just put it all on there and you let everyone know this is me, this is my story, this is what I went through. So I think it's so brave when I see anyone doing that, especially on TikTok, because you never know who's going to be watching your TikTok. I'm still a little afraid of it because I'll have like the dumbest videos get like 200,000 views and I'm like lip syncing to Iggy. Terrible and embarrassing. So I just think it's so brave when you put your whole story out there. So you're a very popular prison TikToker. So how did you go to prison in the first place?
Oh, that's a long story. I started doing drugs. Yes, I started doing drugs, started, stealing my dad's checks. And by the way, he forgives me for, and we've made up and everything. But he did want me to go to jail for it. Yes, he did. And that's okay because, everything, I wouldn't be the person I am today. But
Right.
anyways, it was over checks, and then I stole someone's purse at Kmart. I didn't even need to steal it. It was just bravery to see if I could get away with it. I had a pocket full of money. Just stupid things you do when you're on drugs. You do not make any good decisions. So I used that credit card one time for like $10 in gas. That was it. I was kind of scared to use it, but that's all it took. And I did tell that lady in court I was sorry. I don't know if she accepted my apology, but I really did. I really was just so stupid. So I got them charges, and they let me out after, I don't know, maybe 6-7 months in jail. They let me out, and I had to go back to court. They put me on probation, and then JoJo took off. JoJo took off. I was just scared because I knew I wasn't going to make it through the probation part. So I ran for, I ran from 2001 to 2014 when I turned myself in. Now, in the midst of that, I ran to Florida because my Aunt JoJo, who I'm named after, God rest her soul, she says, come down here, you won't get in trouble. Come down here. Well, I went down there. I'm trying to sum this up I have all these stories on my YouTube, but I'm trying to sum it up. So I went down there. Well, my Aunt JoJo was on a dead dose, they call it in Florida, for her cancer, meaning she got a lot of and they call them blueberries, and I started going to the clinic. Well, she gave me hundreds of them a month, and I sold them. So I started selling. I was making it huge. I mean, I bought a trailer from somebody for some white stuff. Okay, I bought a trailer, a 2-bedroom trailer from a guy that was geeking for an ounce of crack. Bought it. Like I was doing the daggone thing, but I wouldn't do it in my Aunt JoJo's like house. I would do it at a hotel. So I was selling. My best friend turned me in, and that's how I went to prison in Florida. I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do this time in Florida. Then I got to go do 3 years in Ohio because Ohio judge told me if you run and I catch you, you will do a year for every charge. And I had 3 charges, and he meant it. They didn't extradite me. I'm like, ha 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 ha. You know, that's just how I was at the time. I'm totally changed. So they didn't extradite me. They knew I'd be back to Ohio because that's where my kids are. That's where my kids are my family, period. That's it. And of course, my husband. Anyways, so I went back to Ohio and was still doing the same thing. And I knew I was going to end up dying because everybody around me was dropping like flies. And somebody had died in our house, my daughter's house.
From an overdose?
Now listen, she came to my daughter's apartment high. She did not get high in the house. She came to us because her and her boyfriend got in an argument, and my daughter was like, "Mom, she's too messed up. I don't want." I was like, "Carrie, she's hurting. You know, let's have a girls' night or something." And she went to sleep, girl, and didn't wake up. I woke up and I was like, out of the corner of my eye, I was walking to the bath or to the kitchen to get something to drink, and I'm like, she's in the same position as she fell asleep in. And I didn't want to turn around and look. So I continued to the kitchen, and I was like, oh my God. I just knew it. It hit me in my heart, like boom. And yeah, she was dead. She didn't wake up. So I knew the cops was going to come. My daughter says, run, Mom, run, you know, because here goes another 3 years I'm going to do in Ohio prison. At least I thought. And I was like, nope. I got to turn myself in. I have to, okay? I have to. So I did. And because of me, I did. And they took me to the Hamilton County Justice Center. Guess what? They didn't accept me. I promise you, they did not accept me. You want to know why? Because I had a major abscess infection.
And they didn't want to pay for it.
They was like, nope, we're not accepting her. So the cop had to take me to the hospital. There was no cop that was outside my door the whole week I was in there. I could have ran. But like I said, it was time to get it over with. And because and when it was time for them to release me, they called the police and they came back to get me. And because of that, I only got 1 year, and I got a few months that I've served here and there, taken off for good time or time served. So
it does.
3 years.
Say that one more time. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Or I would have done 3 years because he meant it. And he told me the only reason why is because you turned yourself in. You stayed at that hospital. I'm proud of that. He says, I'm still disappointed in you, but I'm proud that you did that.
So yeah, I've never turned myself in. I've gone on the run many times. If there's no cop outside that door, I'm gone. I was always a runner. And it takes bravery, it takes courage to turn yourself in, especially after so long. And I want to go back to that. You said you ran for 14 years?
Yeah.
How the hell did you run for 14 years? I only ever made it 8 months.
And I mean, in the midst of this, I've been to South Carolina, North Carolina. I still have a wart in South Carolina. They let me out on an OR bond. How? I don't know. I mean, I was a wanted felon from Ohio, and they let me out. It does pay to turn yourself in, because I was a runner too. But my heart told me, JoJo, you're going to die. Like my inner soul was telling me I was going to die. Like, if you continue, you're not going to be around no more. And I did not want that. I didn't want to go out like that.
that brief moment of clarity probably saved your life. You know, and people ask me all the time, how do I know when my loved one is going to want to get sober? And the thing is, it could be 2 years from now, it could be never, it could be next Tuesday, because they just had a minute where they're like, whoa, this is scary, something's wrong, I'm not going to make it. You know, so in my personal experience, and it sounds like you too, we just had these very brief pockets of, holy shit, this is scary, I need to stop. And that brief minute saves our life.
Now, when I turned myself in and I got out, I will tell y'all that I did continue, not the first day, but the second day, only because I was around it. Well, that's not the only reason why, but I was around it. And I did pick it back up for about 5 or 6 months. And then one day I woke up and said, I am so sick of this life. I am done. But I was doing it so heavily that I had to be admitted in a hospital for them to watch over me for a week, in order to do it, because, you know, I was really, really heavily on it, like seriously, like 2 grams a day.
Yeah, and coming off of that is the most excruciating, painful, frustrating. Like, you don't sleep, you don't eat, but you're throwing up and you're shitting and your bones feel like they're breaking. It hurts so bad. And I have done that multiple times too. And the crazy thing is, like, I just didn't stop. I relapsed over a dozen times. I have went back to it because I'm like, oh, withdrawal's over, I'm fine, my tolerance is lower, I'm gonna get a better high. And I would tell myself these crazy things. And I would just continue the cycle. You know, it takes a lot of strength to never return to that world. And it takes a lot of fuck ups. I don't care what anyone says, it takes a lot of falling down and getting back up and falling down and getting back up. You know, I don't even know how many times I've relapsed. At least a dozen, probably more.
And this time, thank God, by the grace of God, I don't have no desire, no taste, no nothing. Like I've had thousands of dollars in my hands. I do not have no desire to do none of that stuff. It's like I've never done a drug a day in my life, but I know all about it.
Yeah, it feels like a dream, like a bad dream almost. So I have to know, this is kind of going back to the prison thing. You've done time in a Florida prison, actually the same prison that Christina Randall went to, and you've done time in Ohio prison. So you have to tell us the differences between Florida prison and Ohio.
Okay, I did the same. Actually, Christina Randall was in the prison I was in when I think when I first got there. No, not when I first got there. She was on the main unit. I was on the annex. She was on the unit when she tells you about them big old flies, that size of a quarter. She ain't lying, y'all. I was on the pampered side, the new buildings with the AC. And they keep them. We don't see each other unless you go over there to where the doctor buildings are and stuff like that, and you just walk through the compound. But the difference between, I've been to 3 prisons. I've been to Lowell Correctional Institution, Marysville in Ohio, and Dayton Correctional Institution. Why Marysville transferred me to Dayton Correctional Institution? Because it was closer to home. Now, to answer your question, Lowell Correctional Institution is a real prison. Like, they're all real prisons, okay? They're all real prisons. But we didn't have that guard around the guard tower with a gun ready to shoot you, you know, walking around. It was just so scary there. It was so scary at Lowell. It's scary at all prisons, don't get me wrong, but Lowell is the type of prison that you see on TV. Marysville and DCI, especially DCI, is that type of prison. Like, it's not like Orange is the New Black, but it's tiny like that. So,
you know, I've made a lot of videos about prison, and I don't care if you're a movie producer, I don't care how talented you are, you're never going to be able to capture the energy and the vibe and the prison feel in a YouTube video or on a movie. Because when you walk into a prison, that energy is dark. It's heavy. You know, people have died there. it's unlike anything that I could ever describe to you. But when you first are going to a prison and you walk inside of those walls, it is just the most gray and sad and heavy feeling. You can have happy times in prison. You know, you can be telling jokes, you can have lighthearted moments, but that energy never leaves, you know?
But deep down inside, it's like every man and woman, you know, men prison, women prison, walking around has like this black cloud over their head, because you could see the sadness, you could see the hurt, you could see in some cases, the evil. Like you know, I've seen some really evil, like I felt it in my spirit, like whoa type. Um, So, but yeah, you will never know how we can tell you stories for months, but unless you've been into a prison, you'll never, ever. And I don't want and that's why I tell my story. And I'm sure that's why you tell your story, because I want to help so many people. Don't make the same mistakes I made. You know, learn from my mistakes. Learn from my school of hard knocks. I'm here to just help anybody I can.
And I receive that in every video you make, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, and I'll leave all of JoJo's information in the description box down below, of course. But everything you put out, I can tell that it's raw and it's real, and it's from a place of wanting other people to not go down the same road. You know, when I was running around in the streets, I thought I was so tough, and you think you're thug. Let me tell you something, there's nothing gangster about taking a dump in front of two other people that are your cellmate and having a size, like a dog cage size house. There's nothing thug about that. You see the pain in these older people's lives. You see the lifers that have made those mistakes, you know, and I tell this story any chance I get. It's brief, but I met a lifer with capital murder. She was my cellie. Didn't like her right away because it was her house and she had different rules and I had to abide by them. But she was tough. She was a no-nonsense broad, and send her postcards. She doesn't write back very often. But I know that when she holds that postcard, she smiles because I've seen her. I know that she's smiling every time I send her cards and things. But she said to me something that has stuck with me all of these years. And she said to me, very blunt, in my face, little girl, you are one mistake away from spending the rest of your life in this cell with me. You want to go out there and have that bad little attitude? You want to go out there and run those streets like a fucking loser? I mean, she was blunt about it,
Right.
you know, and she said, you will spend the rest of your life here if you don't change your life. And maybe that had been said to me before, but I respected her, and she said it at a time where I needed to hear it, and it stuck, you know, and I just want to make her proud. And I know that if she ever sees me again, if she ever sees me walk through those doors again, she's going to be so disappointed. And I refuse to do that, you know? So have you ever met someone in prison that their story just resonated with you and changed your heart?
I've met a few people in prison that it just registered and it changed my heart. Women that was, you know, abused by their husbands, and you know, whatever they did to them, you know what I mean, killed them, shot them because they were being abused. I mean, the stories I've heard, the pain that I've seen in these women's eyes. You know, I've talked to women like Chicken. She had been to prison 15 times. She would sit on her bed because we were bunkies next, you know, single beds. She would sit on her bed and just say things because she knew it was going in my ear and I was hearing it, even though I was like, that would stick. Like, you're gonna be you a sucker. You're gonna be here the rest of your life. You're gonna come back. You're gonna do that. I mean, she would just, but I believe she was doing that to help me, not to like put me down or anything, because she knew I was hearing it. But yeah, I've met all kinds of people. I mean, people with cancer that didn't have any hair that would have to go out for treatments, and people with no legs or one leg. Or I met this girl. She had She was a crack addict, and she had hit a crack one day, and she had a not a heart attack, but a stroke.
Mhm.
And she walked her whole right side. She had to like do her leg like this, like, you know what I mean? She would tell me stories. And this girl, she could not wait to get back out and do more crack. I was like, I do not want to be like that. I don't want to be like, I don't want to be like that. And it just didn't, she didn't care. I'm like, but you already had a stroke from doing so much crack. You're, and she was proud to say this. And I was like, whoa, I don't ever want to be proud for doing drugs, ever, ever. So when you ask me that question, I tell you a lot of people's stories have stuck. We don't have enough time to tell you just a lot of stories.
People unintentionally stay with you, and you're meant to hear what that person is saying. There's a reason why you heard her story, and I never took that for granted. You know, when I was first getting locked up, I didn't care about anyone but myself. I was very selfish. But at the end, I didn't take any conversation for granted. There was a reason why I meant to meet this person. There's a reason why I meant to hear this woman say, I want to get right back out and do that even though I had a stroke. You know, I was sitting in the chow hall one day, and this girl was telling a story about how she got off drug court, and the minute she got her drug court receipt, she went to the trap house and got high that day, and they celebrated her getting off drug court. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, but you did that. You did the whole program. Drug court is hard as hell. You did that whole program, 18 months, you know? And I was sitting there, and I was partly pissed because I would have given anything for drug court to be able to not have my daughter in prison. But the other side of me was very, very sad for her, you know? And she wasn't talking to me. She was just talking in earshot of me. But I thought in that moment, you needed to hear that. You needed to hear this story. You need to not be like that. So I think there's so many situations where, especially in prison, because people tell stories loud as hell, you're meant to hear them. And if you pay attention, people will teach you things that you need to know.
My heart was broke in Lowell Correctional Institution. It was literally crushed. I am a mama bear. The younger generation would just click to me because I'm a motherly type. Mama Jojo. Anybody that's been to prison with me, you know, they'll tell you. She was like Mama Jojo. If they were hungry, I mean, don't get it twisted, because okay?
I can see it.
Don't get it twisted, girl. But I would feed you. I would, you know, try to make other people laugh and stuff like that. But there was this one girl, she was so precious. She was going to do everything right. Her name was Jules. She was going to do everything right. She got out about 6 months before I did. She got out, and her grandmother found her dead the next day. And I had talked to this girl. We had cried. We had talked. Just so much positive, you know, feedback in trying to, you know, feed her with positive, and she was going to do it, and she wasn't. Yeah. And I was devastated. And that really, really messed with me, because it was like one of my little daughters, you know. I mean, no, I didn't raise her or carry her in my womb, but she was like my little prison daughter, and I really cared for any of them. I cared for all of them, but Jules was like my favorite, you know what I mean, out of all of them. But it was just so sad.
That's the heartbreaking reality of prison. I have yet to tell a story about my really dear friend Erin, because it's hard to talk about. But man, I met her in county jail. We knew all the same people. And immediately I was like, I love her. You know, you could just, she had this energy and she just bounced around. She was very positive, even though we're going to prison, girl.
Right.
But she was positive, and I went to a different prison than she did. She went to prison before me, but we, at the end of my bid and hers, we linked back up for 90 days and we did a program together. And she could sing, and there's a YouTube video of her singing. I'll leave it in the description box down below. Beautiful and talented, and she would sing to my stomach when I was pregnant in county jail, and I loved her. Well, her and her sister were both in the pod together, you know, so we had a little group, and she got out 2 weeks before me, and a couple of days after I got out, I got a phone call, and it was the phone call you don't want, and my friend said, Jess, it's not good. It's not good. And I'm like, who, what, where, just tell me. You know, I hate when people like stall, because if you tell me it's not good, my heart is pounding a million miles an hour. I'm like, just tell me, you know, I get really anxious. And she said, it's Erin, she's gone. And I couldn't understand, because she was singing Amazing Grace 2 days before she got out, and in front of everyone at this whole prison and this church, and she was so excited and so happy to get out, and she died of a fentanyl overdose. And I still can't believe it. I still can't believe she's gone. And it's been years. And that is the heartbreaking reality of addiction. You know, this is not a game. This is your life. You know, your life is on the line every day that you're in addiction. And I can't even stress that enough, you know. So it's sad. I didn't mean for this video to be sad, but I think it's important. I think everything you've said is so important. And you know, hopefully someone watching will just want a different life. Maybe today they decide that I'm done, you know, and that's all I can ever hope for this channel. So you made me cry. I'm going to cry when we take it off this Skype. No, it's not your fault.
I had just lost a cousin. She was like my niece, though, because her dad, who I'm the only child, her dad was like a brother to me because he was only 6 years older than me. I changed her diapers. I taught her how to swim. We just lost her like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, and I'm so sorry.
And I'm sorry it's turned into sad, but addiction is real. And that's why I tell my story, because I am so tired of addiction taking beautiful, beautiful humans out or sending them to prison. Or, you know, I just, something has to stop. And if my story, and that's why I'm so real and raw, because that's all I ever have known to be. I'll tell you, girl, you look whack. You know, don't take that off. Take that off. You look like whack. You know, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. You really like the outfit, but you wanted my opinion. I'm going to tell you, okay? You're beautiful, but the outfit, I don't know. But, and that's the only way I know how to be. And that's why I tell my story, and I'm so real and raw, and I don't care what others think, because guess what? The people that are going, and I call them the Karens, Brads, and Felicias, it's not for them to understand. Everybody I helped, I have helped in many different ways. And I'm sure you have too, Jess. You know, it could be, I look like someone's grandmother, or I remind somebody of their sister, or it doesn't even have to be about the prison. It's just different ways. And that's amazing to me. And I really, really love, and I pray for my supporters. I don't call them fans. They're supporters. They're family. I pray for them every single night because I love them. And I don't care what anybody thinks.
All right, so I'm going to end today's video here, but JoJo, you are welcome on the channel anytime you want to come on the channel. We do have a podcast with JoJo as well, and I will link that down below. But anytime you want to come on and hang out with me for a little while, you are more than welcome to.
I love it. I love you, girl, and I love talking to you. And you got my heart. I love you to death. Your little family, you're such a beautiful person, beautiful family, and I'm very, very, very proud of you. So.
This is why you're like everyone's mama or grandma, because you're so sweet. And I get that energy from you. So I was trying not to smile too big when you said that because I'm like, that's immediately how I felt. Like, I just get that vibe from you.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, please go check out JoJo's YouTube channel and her TikTok. Everything is in the description box down below. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, whatever that looks like to you. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.
Bye.